the tower. Every core computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Hello and welcome, dearest friends of this here internet. My name's Muck, and I am broadcasting live from within the chaos of reality itself. I just started the stream and I realized I have a really runny nose, so I guess I'll be right back. And I'm back. Finally, I can breathe, so that's good. Once again, I will be drawing and reacting to some videos, and once more I've changed my art setup. Now I'm using Procreate. This is not Procreate. This is Procreate. There we go. Last time I believe I was using what was it? Oh, Adobe Fresco. And I really enjoyed it. But there were certain features and settings that were really not intuitive for me. So I had to go back and or I had to sort of really think about whether or not I was using it efficiently. And then I decided to try out Procreate, which was like $12-13 or something like that. And so far it's been better. It's a little bit more easier to understand.
So Oda just dropped a nuclear bomb right on the One Piece community with this, and then the
Right, so completely forgot. This is the video by Cheapy Reviews, and I don't know what he's talking about. What exactly happened with Oda?
So Oda just dropped a nuclear bomb right on the One Piece community with this, and then the reveal that One Piece has outsold Superman in its entirety, and then all.
That's insane. That's pretty crazy.
Also, the ending of One Piece being revealed as well. More into that one in a moment, but I want to talk about this first because
I thought there was only a few people who knew the ending. What's going on now?
this is such a nuclear level bombshell. I was blown away when I first saw this, and there's a lot to really unpackage from everything that was revealed last night, but this one in particular, it finally settled the matter. It settled the toxic discussion around Yamato. For those that are not terminally online, let me give some clarification. This character is Yamato, and this artwork is depicting a good ending and a bad ending. The 40 represents the age that Yamato would be, how she would look at age 40 in the bad ending, and age 60 in the bad ending, age 60 in the good ending. And what this represents is a big thing that has been a heavy discussion in the One Piece community for a long time. One thing in particular is Yamato's gender. Go figure. Basically, Yamato was hard LARPing and role-playing as Odin, this character within her same arc that was a very powerful character within the story. And basically, Yamato wanted to become exactly like him because she looked up to him. She wanted to be him, so to speak. And more or less, eventually, you can see that Yamato grew out of that, and she wanted to be her own person, be free from the shackles of being someone else, and actually be her own person. But obviously, there's more to it than just that. There was a lot of pressure where people were saying that Yamato was identifying as a guy or a dude, stuff like that, and eventually Oda just straight up said, no, Yamato is a woman. But obviously, those fans could not accept that, and they basically said it was the death of the author, that it doesn't matter what the author says, they know more than what the author has to say about their story. You gotta get the point. So basically, they never accepted that Yamato was actually a woman, despite the author being the actual creator of the work saying Yamato was a woman. So, we fast forward to this morning, this comes out. And this more or less absolutely crushes that entire conversation, pretty much saying that if Yamato continues to LARP as a guy, LARP as Odin, she will end up dead, like Odin. And if
Okay, wait, I gotta re-listen to that. My brain was not catching up because I just realized I switched over to Procreate because I didn't like the way that Fresco sort of handled paint physics, I guess you could call it. I didn't like the way that paint sort of interacted and blurred. It wasn't intuitive enough for me because I'm very used to the way that Paint Tool Sai sort of simulates paints blending together. And so I switched over to Procreate. It paints a lot better, but I haven't actually sketched on it, so I don't have a pencil, and I don't know which one's good. Oh, great. And I had found the perfect pencil in Fresco. So now do I switch over back to Fresco, or the struggles, man? Let's figure out what Huntsman looks like. And then I'll go back to the video. Just gonna do full black. And I don't like it. Am I on the right layer? No, I'm not. Okay. That makes sense. But oh, did I switch over to eraser? I hate that about the Apple Pencil. If you grip it wrong, it switches over to the eraser. I need to tweak that in the settings. Also, is my audio alright? I feel like it sounds bad. I guess we'll figure it out next time. Oh well. Yeah, I don't like it. Maybe smaller? What? I thought I made it smaller. What the hell? How much smaller can it be? What the hell? Never mind. Definitely don't like it. I need a nice thin pencil. Nope. Don't like it. Not crispy enough. Too smudgy. Not crispy enough. That one's interesting, but let's see how thin we can get it. What the? Come on, guys. I can't make it small enough. Okay, we'll put a bookmark on that one. This one. I think this one I'm liking. Dusky. That's bookmark for sure. Oh, if I'm liking this one too. Dusky or lofty? We'll go with dusky. Ooh, this one's nice too. But the size doesn't really change much. I don't understand that at all. Like, how is it that you change the size and it like barely affects the size? Like, it's down to size 1% and it's huge. And it's supposed to be pencils. Like, what? Actually, I think this one's my favorite. Frick you, I can't grab the pencil without squeezing it. The Swansea. Alright. It's not that small. What are we talking about? That's huge. Is my file size not big enough or something? Or canvas size, not file size? Where the hell do I view my canvas size? There it is. Canvas. Crop and resize, animation assist, page assist, drawing. Canvas information, there we go. Oh. Dimensions. Yeah. It shouldn't be too small. Right? Oh, come on. Is there any way for me to make it smaller? Proportion? Or I thought it said proportions. Properties, no. Minimum size. It's literally at 0%. I don't think I can make it much smaller. I change the maximum size? That is seriously pissing me off. I really don't understand how this is considered small. This is small. But why is my first stroke that huge? I can't use this as an actual pencil. I might actually have to just go back to fresco. Oh well. So, how do I know that this is saving up as a Photoshop document? That's a really good question. Because I've made some progress on this, and I want to be sure that that progress is saved. Break me. Share. No, that was what? There you go. Photoshop document. Exporting. What's next? Oh, well, that's interesting. I thought this section would also be captured by the screen, but it's not. All right. So I will transfer this over. Whoa, can I transfer it just directly to Fresco? Did my capture card stop working? Is that why it's not capturing? Frick. You can't be serious, bro. That is so annoying. Now it's just gone. Just cannot view it. Technology.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking
Nope.
Meet Base 44, a complete AI code.
Nothing. Come on. Alright, we're gonna deactivate it. Oops. Bring this over here. So, my capture card stopped working, so I'll just deactivate it. Unplug it again. Plug it back in. Alright. Activate it. And nothing happens. Come on. Really? Yeah, this is why I don't really stream very often, although I would love to. There's always something wrong. And it is so frustrating. one last ditch effort. Just unplug everything. Alright. Capture card is no longer connected to my iPad or the Steam Deck. And the iPad I turned off as well. Now I've got to find the connection. There it is. The capture card is plugged back into the Steam Deck. Gonna turn on the iPad. And plug it back into the iPad. Still nothing. Thank you. Now it's working. Okay. Yep. We're right back. You see, this is what I hate about Fresco. Like, everything is so just everywhere. The options are all over the screen. I can't tell. It's just not intuitive. I can't tell where everything is at. Where's my number one pencil? There it is. And now, back to the video. What the hell happened?
Point. So basically, they never accepted that Yamato was actually a woman, despite the author being the actual creator of the work saying Yamato was a woman. So, we fast forward to this morning, this comes out. And this more or less absolutely crushes that entire conversation, pretty much saying that if Yamato continues to LARP as a guy, LARP as Odin, she will end up dead, like Odin. And if she doesn't LARP as him and tries to be her own self as Yamato, she will live. I'm not gonna lie. It's taken me everything I have to not laugh, because it's... But it's funny. Just what a bombshell. What a bombshell from Oda. I love this, man. But obviously, there is a lot more than just this. So first off, we have this. This one is very simple. I could get through it very quickly. But basically, every so often, Oda does a Q&A. He answers readers' comments. And that's what this more or less is right here. And he answers a comment of a reader saying, I want to be Gunko's slave. And Oda literally just responds with, go right ahead. It's... That's it. There needs to be no more explanation. Understandable. Have a nice day.
Yep.
Then we get into this other SBS, which is causing a lot of controversy, which now let's get into some more of the sad and bad news of, you know, in terms of the video, and then get back into the good news. But we need to discuss this because what's going on right now, what I've been seeing for the last 24 hours has been fucking unhinged, and I feel like it just straight up needs to be called out. Reader. Hello, Oda-sensei. For people in One Piece who dress like this, referring to the high-cut outfits in the image, one image is Nami's Elbaf skirt outfit, and one image is the Kuja skirt outfit. Are they not wearing any underwear, pantsuit? Oda responds with, of course they aren't. I mean, how would they even wear anything under that? Can you please stop ruining our dreams? Now, this seems...
What the okay, he just says it. Alright. Just no what do you no trying to justify it, no trying to explain it, no nothing, just alright.
Seems like very funny little tidbit lore behind the scenes. Basically, Oda's saying that Nami's character design, she's going full-blown commando. That's what Oda pretty much reveals. And does this add anything to the story necessarily? No. But it is funny little tidbit behind the scenes of when Oda is drawing this character or writing this character, that is what he potentially envisions in his mind. It gives a little bit more insight into his psyche as an author and as a creator as well, and how he also views Nami or his other characters within the story, not just female characters, but male characters as well. Because in fact, this isn't the first time that Oda has actually done this. He's done this in the past to a male character. He's done this right here, which Nakim actually showcases with an SBS, a very similar thing where he was answering, questions. And this is what it says. Question. So what's underneath that leaf skirt of Wiper? Does he go commando? And then Oda responds with, oh, definitely commando. Good one. I'm positive it must be pretty tough having it swinging around during battle. Yeah, that'll be tough. Maybe he wears some sort of loincloth thing. Well, I don't know. Hey, so Oda, as always, answered these type of gooner questions, and you could say maybe it's his humor, maybe you could say he's serious, you don't really know. But he's done this not just with the female cast, but even the male cast when something like this is asked. So this isn't something relatively groundbreaking that's brand new just with this question alone. However, this question has led to a lot of people more or less being absolute psychopaths about Oda's SBS, or this question that he answered. For one, you have a post here with 30,000 likes, literally saying, Oda, the millisecond One Piece ends, and I'll zoom it into the finale. Basically, the man's like, oh, well, time to go. Obviously, you could try to say this is a joke, but 30,000 people, I mean, you see a lot of people. People are, definitely, I think, trying to be serious, and there's probably at least a few psychopaths in these likes that probably are serious about it and think that Oda needs to potentially die. It's pretty concerning, especially over something as harmless as this of him answering a question, and answering a question he's done already many times in the past with other different characters. But it doesn't just stop there. You have, comments like this on the tweet here, where people are doing like this. You have stuff like this, like One Piece author Eiichiro Oda found dead minutes after the final chapter releases. He finished after he posted that final chapter. You have the most unfunny individuals posting these type of Aisho speed gifs and stuff like that. It's the typical type of tourist and COVID anime fans riddled all in this comment section.
And I'm sure it's definitely a lot of New Age people. New Age people do not know how to make jokes. It's insane. Their version of making a joke is, oh, we gotta kill this guy. Or, yeah, this guy's gonna die. That's it. Like, really? These are people's memes? What the hell is this?
Wishing for the death of Oda. It's completely unhinged. It's just like, I don't know how anyone could be this upset about this type of question with over 1,100 chapters deep into the manga. And here's the reason why. One Piece has a shit ton of fan service. It does. Like, not even just the anime. Like, the manga has fan service. Like, in Egghead, Oda literally went on record to say that he drew a lot of butt shots and dedicated a lot of manga panels to refine and get better at drawing butts. He literally admitted that. There is a lot of discussion around that. And it's like he's always been someone that just, he draws fan service for male and female characters. And the fact that you're 1,100 chapters deep, and we have people crashing out to this extent, you have almost 5 million views on this post alone, is fucking insane. It's so insane just how unhinged people actually are. This is what I really hate about these new generation of anime fans, or in this case, tourist and COVID fans, because they don't really care for anime. They're, honestly, I'm just going to use the word. They're only watching One Piece because it's popular, because it's the main talking point in communities, and they're only pretending or watching it because it's cool to watch now.
Yeah, it's like, I've been freaking binge watching this like crazy, and only now I am offended, and I cannot take it anymore. And it's just like, dude, you've been watching, you've been keeping up. Like, what the hell is going on? If you don't like it, then don't engage.
If it eventually fell out of favor and majority turned against, Oda, then you would see all these people say they never liked One Piece to begin with. It is just absolutely insane how these people are, and how you can just tell in general that they don't actually care about One Piece, manga, and anime. They're only into it because it's popular at the time, and they're bandwagoning and joining in on the community because they have this herd mentality. It's just so freaking insane to me. But getting off this news, let's get into some better news. So first off, we have this one. which is, One Piece has now sold over 600 million copies worldwide, selling more than all of Superman's 18,000 plus issues combined, making
Damn.
it the undisputed best-selling comic of all time and a contention for the best-selling fiction series of all time. This is fucking huge, okay? Like, say whatever you want about One Piece. Hate it, dislike it, whatever. Like, you don't like the story. You cannot deny the absolute legendary status of the series to be able to surpass such an icon like Superman.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who Superman is. You do. Everybody recognizes Superman. He has a recognizable symbol on his chest. Everybody knows who Superman is. He is a cultural phenomenon. He is someone that is referenced in media.
Yeah, like even people who aren't into comics or fiction at all know who Superman is.
Literature, so many things around the internet. He is someone super freaking iconic. Everybody recognizes Superman. And so the fact that One Piece outsold Superman is a big deal. It means that One Piece is now reaching into that realm of no longer just being, let's say, a manga, but being really used as a cultural phenomenon. It always has been, a cultural phenomenon, but it really has went above and beyond anything that we have seen thus far. The fact that it's reaching the status of surpassing Superman. That's insane. Happy for One Piece, happy for Oda, just insane to finally see something like this after all these years. It's just incredible to see. I cannot feel... I feel so much happiness for Oda. I really do. Now, for the last bit I want to talk about, it is this one. Eiichiro Oda has written the secret behind the One Piece treasure on a piece of paper sunk to the bottom of the ocean. Once the series ends, the truth will be revealed. So, this is Oda writing on a piece of paper the actual One Piece, what the One Piece actually is. And upon him writing whatever it is, the secrets of everything, you see this man rip it up, put it in a box, he locks it, and then if you zoom past, you can see they dump it into the bottom of the ocean. And it's at the bottom of the ocean. We don't know exactly where it's at, but somewhere in the world right now, the ending of One Piece is in that box, sitting on the bottom of the ocean floor. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, that is absolutely a magical thing to see. It's honestly shocking something like this actually hasn't happened already, but now that it's happened, it really just cements the power of the series itself, because it's like, imagine the person that, if it is found, let's say like it's found years from now or whatever after One Piece ends, someone pulls it up, and then they look at it like, holy crap, this is the actual ending of One Piece. Imagine how insane that would be. Like, that, fine, it's actually legitimately a treasure hunt. And I wonder if the intention here as well is to actually spark that as well, because, like, obviously, with how popular One Piece is, and I mean, especially since it's surpassed, like, Superman, as you can see here, it would not shock me if there's going to be dedicated people now for years to come to scan the bottom of the ocean floor just to find out what the One Piece actually is, or what it is, what the ending of the series actually is. I would not be shocked at all if someone dedicates majority of their time and even makes an entire YouTube channel dedicated trying to find this. And I'm gonna be honest, with how dedicated the internet can be to finding something, I would not put it past them to find this potentially within the next year. Maybe if
I gotta think about that. Within the next year? I mean, we've seen stuff like that, right? 4chaners, crazy Redditors, there are sections of the internet where people go super hardcore autism to search for things, to uncover things, to get to the bottom of basically mysteries. But within the next year, that would be pretty insane, especially since it's at the bottom of the ocean. Like, how much can you go off of? Like, how much information can you gather to figure out where this thing is lying?
few weeks, months, who knows? I would not even be shocked about it. But that's the big question. Let's say if it does get found in the upcoming weeks, months, or even a year from now, how much is really on that parchment, and is it really the full ending? And would Oda be fine with the ending being revealed like that? That is the question I have to wonder, and that brings me back to what happened earlier on in this little clip. He rips it. He rips a piece of it up. And what I think what this means is that maybe there's a part of it that is not fully clarified, and you only get half of the true ending of One Piece, or
That
what
would make
the One
sense.
Piece actually is. And then the other half will give you some details that will actually reveal what the ending is. That's my educated guess. Maybe I'm looking too deep into that, but it's still pretty freaking cool. I'm not gonna lie. This is honestly one of the coolest things I've seen in a while, and to just see One Piece, like, or Oda go this far to kind of hint at the ending is just awesome. So I'll leave it at that, though. I wanted to talk about all this. There was a lot of One Piece news. I know there was a lot I needed to cover, but it's insane. Like, you have the toxicity of the fan base, to the funny SBSs and stuff like that, to the new heights and records and record-breaking stuff that Oda's been doing. It's honestly a crazy time to be a One Piece fan. But I'll leave it at that. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe, leave a like down below, or comment down below, leave a like, please. It helps out a lot. And be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.
Here we go again, another day,
Is this really an AI ad?
another can.
The old way of preparing
Bro, get the hell out of here. Now from Chibi Reviews, on to Rev Sestes. And let's find out what the hell happened to Asmongold now.
Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So it appears we're looking at another very serious case of ADS, or better known as Asmongold Derangement Syndrome, where a very intelligent Hassan Orbiter had a great idea to start a cancellation campaign not just aimed at Asmongold, but anybody with the thinnest connection to any organization he is a part of. Those people are now being
Even the guy at the 7-Eleven? Oh no. Asmon loves that 7-Eleven.
targeted and even labeled as alt-right extremists by default unless they leave the related organizations.
Oh,
we are now
jeez.
doing guilt by association in this case that has now led to many innocent content creators being harassed. Now, who's behind this sort of campaign? Well, it is the Hassan Orbiter, Caseytron. Caseytron is someone who's quite infamous for having basically an L factory when it comes to takes and a lot of really bad decisions, especially when it comes to Asmongold. Asmongold was someone she was cool with at one point, but things changed, and if you keyword search Asmongold on her channel, you can see that she has a very serious case of ADS. I mean, this is just ridiculous. This is just from the last couple of years, ladies and gentlemen. You get the point, right? And you would think this crybaby who has made a name of being a victim of every circumstance she forces herself into, and also someone who has settled with Ethan Klein over the copyright infringement lawsuits, would have something better to do with her time.
No.
You know, you thought she was humiliated enough having to come out and make a public apology to Ethan and Hila, basically admitting she is dumb and abused copyright, and even went as far as to say Hassan basically left her hanging because she thought he was going to swoop in and save her. No, she has more fights to pick. This time, once again, with Asmongold, where she has this post where she's listing a bunch of brands that Asmongold has an association with, and she is sharing the creator list of mythic talent in particular, using this as an opportunity to try and cancel all of the content creators that work under this agency that Asmongold co-founded. Now, she is quoting a tweet that contains a post and video that is trying to prove Asmongold as a flip-flopper when it comes to war with Iran. The only problem is his statements in 2024 versus 2026 are not about the same line of related topics, and he will explain this himself. Unlike Hassan or people like that, he is directly addressing this sort of criticism and providing what I believe is a reasonable explanation for the difference in statements between 2024 and 2026.
think that the level that we try to play nation building, especially in places like this, like, you know, like Libya, for example, back in the day, what the fuck? Or Iraq. No, absolutely not. Yeah, it's too much, man. Way too much. I am so happy this has happened. I am just dramatically, tremendously happy this has happened. I know that, you know, obviously I've talked about it for a long time, about how big of a problem Iran is and everything. I was a big supporter of us bombing them before, and now we're bombing them again. That's right. And this is just amazing. I think that we play too big of a role in it. Yeah, well, the difference here is right here. I said it. Shit. Like, we're too interventionary. We get too involved into other people's business. Exactly. That's why I don't think we should stay there. It's a waste of our money. The people there probably fucking hate us. That's the difference right there. The people in Iran are begging us to come help them. They're begging us to come help them. They're saying, please save us from this dictatorship that is killing us, massacring us indiscriminately, oppressing us for the better part almost of 50 years. That is a massive fucking difference. And also, they are funding terrorism all around the Middle East.
Now, yeah, those two factors are the driving point for this entire movement, right? This entire operation, and the fact that people just ignore that is ridiculous. The Iranian dictatorship, I guess you could call it that, the regime, has been behind a lot of the instability in the Middle East, and us going after other Middle Eastern countries who are associated with them is not attacking the problem at the root. Now we're actually finally doing something to attack the problem at the root, rather than wasting time messing with other nations who are related to Iran, but more than anything are being fueled by Iran and not the real cause of all the issues. And like you said, the people of Iran are asking for help. They're reaching out. They're trying to figure out who is on their side and who is willing to go in and do what they can't, because their government is in charge of their military. And I mean, is everyone ignoring? I remember recently, right after they shut off the internet on the entire public, people went out to protest, and the Iranian government massacred so many people that it literally broke a world record that hadn't been shattered since, I believe, World War II or so. Let me see if I can find anything on that. Why am I on Yahoo? What the hell is this? I don't know why Chrome does that to me. Every once in a while, it'll just completely forget that. What the fuck? It'll just completely forget that it's set as. Chrome will forget that it has Google set as a default search engine. It'll just go to Yahoo. I don't know why. Over 36,500 people killed in Iran's deadliest massacre. And then before that, it was 16,000. So it about doubled. When was this? January 17th of 2026. And the other one was January 25th. Ooh, that's like 10 days later. Let's see if Gemini can give me some more answers on this. Okay, so the death toll record, classified documents obtained by Iran International revealed that more than 36,500 people were killed by security forces during a 2-day crackdown. That's within the span of just 2 days, 36,500 people. And that is from January the 8th to the 9th of 2026. 2026. In any case, takes me way too long to read. But that's pretty much what I was looking for. The death toll is pretty high, and the people are asking for help. So why we shouldn't help them, I'm not really understanding. I'm not really seeing the reasoning. The biggest reason that I can see is the issue of us getting involved long term. But it seems pretty clear so far that we don't really have any intentions of getting involved long term. We're not sending in troops to mobilize on the ground. We're doing everything long distance. The conflict's only been going on for what is it, like a week or two so far. Now, if the conflict does become several months, hell, let's hope not. If it even becomes a year long, then I think that everyone should immediately turn around and ask the US government to completely abandon it, because there's no way that we are going to benefit from something like that. It is beneficial to us in the US to go against Iran because of the fact that they've literally waged war on us, and they're fomenting the instability in the Middle East, which does cost us a lot with other nations, with trade. But yeah, as soon as we start wasting money on that conflict, we really need to just back off. Much like with what happened with Ukraine, right? Ukraine has gone on for so long that it's really becoming a huge money pit, just a waste of time and money for everyone involved, including Russia.
Hassan and his band of rejects could definitely learn a thing or two from Asmongold here, where he was faced with criticism and he directly confronted it and provided a reasonable explanation instead of either burying his head in the sand or resorting to name calling or blaming it on Israel or whatever Hassan and his orbiters typically do. And I think this sort of dichotomy here, how people in Iran are largely celebrating what's happening versus a bunch of liberals in the US protesting about what's going on, is just really something that reflects the attitudes of people on social media right now in the West versus in Iran, the actually affected region. But anyways, Hassan would weigh in saying the entire MAGA timeline is just this, by the way, referring to that tweet. And I guess expanding upon that, Casey Tron would make her quote saying this in full. Here's a list of all the brands and creators that are partnered with Asmongold's talent agency Mythic Talent. Why they want to be represented by someone who cheers for death every day is beyond me. Should probably start asking them. Which is very interesting coming from someone who orbits Hassan, who, supports terrorist organizations.
Literally.
But anyways, they actually list the creator list from the website. So it's literally listing off all the people that basically she's directing action towards. Let's be real. Okay, let's be real what this is. She is trying to single out Mythic Talent because it's co-owned by Asmongold, and she is trying to single out these content creators and make them do something. Otherwise, they're going to be publicly shamed. Does this sound familiar to the Emiru situation or the other, the fan situation that's currently happening, where you have to say something on a subject and your silence becomes twisted as some sort of a statement? Wow, interesting. But of course, in the replies, we would see some people pushing back, saying as much as that cockroach disgusts me, sharing a list of people and starting a witch hunt against them isn't something I would do. Where Caseytron says, where did I say witch hunt then? I said, ask them why they're represented by an alt-right extremist. It's a fair question. Now, an alt-right extremist to Caseytron is anyone a hair's length away to the right of Mao Zedong. But yeah, she is starting a witch hunt. She is sitting here acting like she's just asking questions. No, this is a direct call to action. She is putting that list there for a reason. She wants these people to be harassed.
Yeah, the issue is you can say this is not a call to action, right? But when you put all of those pieces out for people to immediately look at, you're definitely not making it difficult for people to, you know, take things into their own hands.
She wants these people to be put in a corner where if they don't say something about this or leave the organization, they are going to be guilty by association with Asmongold, who, by the way, is just a co-owner. In case you don't know what Mythic Talent is just an agency that helps content creators find sponsorships and opportunities like that. They don't direct what you do. It's not some hands-on organization in that sense. They're not directing the content. They're not really even approving the content. They're just trying to enhance your sponsorship opportunities and things like that. It's very hands-off. Here's another comment. This person said, everyone should be aware of who the people they support are in bed with so they can make informed decisions. Exactly. And Caseytron says, right. Like, I don't want to see any of these creators posting anti-war, anti-ICE narratives when they're represented by a alt-right wing extremists. Save your words. Let's see some action. Which, I mean, like, what? So I guess the words don't matter. So if they come out and say something that serves the narrative, because, by the way, it's not about sharing your opinion, it's about sharing the right opinion in this case. So you have to be anti-ICE, you have to be anti-war, otherwise you're doing wrong thing, according to Caseytron, right? And but she says it's not even enough. You can't even save yourself with words anymore. You have to take action. Which, what do you mean by action if words aren't good enough? That means leave the organization. So with Caseytron, the guilt by association is so strong that you can't even speak your way out of it. You literally have to leave. That's the only option. So if you don't leave Mythic Talent right now, according to Caseytron, you are someone who is aligning with a right-wing extremist. You're basically just as bad as him. That is a crazy set of guilt by association. And look at some of the people that are being targeted in the replies. You can see this post saying, is this really what Twitch is now? I'll assume they're all Hitler Youth racists under there. Referring to several popular VTubers who are very anti-problematic, by the way, but they're being singled out in this case because of Caseytron. Caseytron, you know, defender of women, is now throwing women like this who are apolitical into the mix and leaving them up to harassment and slander because she is putting up this proposition that if they don't say something, or in this case, I guess they have to leave. If they don't leave, they are aligned with Asmongold in all of his beliefs. It's absolutely insane. It's like saying if you're on Twitter and have Twitter Blue, for example, you're aligning with the entire view system of Elon Musk. It's so ridiculous, but it continues on. Someone calls out KCO, calling him a bum. And Caseytron says, I think he's someone who should definitely leave the Mythic Talent agency. KCO has always kept politics out of his content. He just wants to spread joy and laughter. It's a stain on him being represented by an alt-right extremist, and I think goes against his own standards. So you're not really recommending anything. You're telling him he has to leave. Otherwise, he is represented by the belief system that Caseytron created in her very diluted head. This is what we're working with here. Totally not a witch hunt, by the way. Totally not a witch hunt. Do what I say, or I'm going to label you as an extremist. Yeah, totally not a witch hunt. Here's another comment saying, just so people are aware, the creator pages are not full up to date. I know of at least one creator that is ending their partnership with Mythic Talent that is on that list. And Caseytron says, whoever it is, they need to make it clear they want taken off the registry of people represented by an alt-right extremist. Oh my gosh. Glad they left. I suggest others do quickly before their business starts getting affected by Asmongold's dangerous rhetoric. Wow, are we really bringing up dangerous rhetoric? You wouldn't want to be associated with anyone who has dangerous rhetoric, right? Like this guy? Like Hassan Piker, who literally within the last day or two was instructing his audience on more effective ways to commit acts of terror.
And yet another case of just laying it all out, putting all the pieces out there for people to, put together. Like, I'm not calling for this, but here's all the puzzle pieces you guys need to carry out your own actions.
And even pointing them in the direction as to where they can purchase drones to launch terror attacks, and even giving the price and the locations you can purchase them online, and even claiming it's a very simple process. Do you mean dangerous rhetoric like this? Because you're awfully silent on this one. I think this is a no-brainer. I think this is just insane behavior and dangerous rhetoric. Like, this is actually dangerous rhetoric. Anything to say about that? Care to comment? Oh, right. Okay. So your association with him clearly means you agree with this sort of thing. All right, got it. By Caseytron Logic. And I'm glad she brought up this whole thing, right? We're doing guilt by association for working under the same agency. What about Knight Media? What about Knight Media? Now, why do I bring up Knight Media? A lot of people don't even know who this is, right? This is a talent management agency. It's basically Mythic Talent, just probably on a bigger scale, right? They're there to give sponsorships or help facilitate sponsorships with creators, and they're there to try to give additional opportunities. They're not there to direct what you can or can't do with your streams. They're there to give you additional opportunities to enhance what you already have. And guess who's a part of Knight Media? Oh, it's Asmongold and Hassan Piker. I can't believe this. Yeah, they're under the same roof. This has been a thing for quite some time. It turns out people with very different belief systems can coexist under a talent agency. Who would have thought? Are we going to say that there's something wrong with Knight Media? That they need to say something? They need to set values? They need to part ways with some of their talents? Or their talents, in this case, have to say something about the management's view? Crazy. This is such a stupid standard. The attacking of sponsorships and guilt by association is the lamest behavior you will ever see. It is the desperate acts of people like Caseytron who cannot formulate any sort of a real discussion or discourse on anything they pretend to care about. Instead, they go after people with very ridiculous tactics like guilt by association and attacking sponsors as well. Now, of course, Caseytron would add on to original post saying, there are a lot of creators on this list that I love and I think they are great. That's why I think it's important that they speak out against the brand risk Asmongold is causing them. Wait a second. I thought words didn't matter at this point. I thought it was action. So you want them to speak out against Asmongold, but you don't want them to even bother with anti-ICE or anti-war statements because it doesn't even matter at this point. So it seems like it's pretty clear what you want out of this. It's not some sort of a sense of justice. You just want to go after Asmongold. And you're using all these people as proxy.
Yeah.
They're just pawns to you in the way.
You're just collateral. It's literal terrorist tactics. We're gonna take these people hostage. Do as we say, or else.
Essentially, you're weaponizing them. You don't even want them to have the sort of anti-Asmongold political rhetoric that you're hoping to achieve. No, it's about just dunking on Asmongold and causing him harm and causing him to be isolated and have talents pull away from the agency. This is personal. This is not about doing the right thing. This is because Caseytron is obsessed with Asmongold, and she's using this as a vehicle to do that and to achieve some sort of harm on him. But she continues on saying, being represented by a company whose main figurehead is an alt-right extremist is not good for business. Many of these creators are apolitical and practice not talking about politics, yet they're associated with a man who's making extremely harmful political takes every day. Being represented by Asmongold, I think, goes against many of their own business practices and standards. Asmongold needs to either step down from Mythic Talent, or people need to start leaving for other agencies that don't jeopardize their business image. Interesting. The only one who seems to be doing this is you. Nobody cared at all. This is a talent agency helping people get sponsorships. It's not that deep, okay? The opinions of Asmongold as a co-founder, or the opinions of even the talent, don't really matter. They're there to provide a service to these content creators. And now you're saying, if you're a part of this, well, you represent everything Asmongold does. Again, guilt by association. And also, you can see there's a demand here. She wants him to step down. It's really it's kind of a two-option prong here for Caseytron. You step down, or your business is going to fail because all these people are going to leave. And she's trying to impress that upon the talents, that this business is falling apart. You better get out now. Yeah, she knows exactly what she's doing is manipulative. And again, this isn't about achieving some sort of good or anything like that. She's doing this out of spite of Asmongold. This is all just about...
Has anyone actually made it to level 4 before? If you're slightly congested, use level 1.
No.
her vitriol that she
I probably
directs
need
towards
that.
Asmongold. Nothing else. Don't be fooled. Now, of course, again, thanks for bringing up Night Media by proxy here. Night Media is in an interesting situation because the CEO recently wrote an article about Twitch viewbotting. Now, you can find this article, right? You can read through it, but we're going to go through kind of the TLDR, right? So, bots finding ways to be undetected. Twitch doesn't enforce because more views looks better for advertisers. Claims he did his own botting research and found that $180 a week can get you 750 concurrent viewers. No downside to botting if you're in the top 500 streamers. If you're not botting, you're at a disadvantage because everyone else is. So that is the CEO of Night Media, who apparently thinks botting is a no-lose situation. Interesting. Now, does Hassan have to say something about this directly? Does he need to condemn Night Media's CEO? Otherwise, he is someone who's okay with botting, which would be very interesting because, well, there's a history here. Hassan has routinely accused Asmongold of view botting. Well, it seems like the call might be coming from inside the house, Mr. Piker.
I'm not blaming Hassan on this, but the idea that you're going to go around and constantly delegitimize and accuse me of view botting when your channel is getting follower botted, I don't know if your channel is getting view botted or not. I have no idea. I would never accuse somebody of that. His channel doesn't look like it's being view botted. But what I will say is that it's absolutely
it doesn't
being
look like it's getting view botted.
It is. It's
Well,
undeniable
yours
that
does.
This is happening. Look at this.
Where yours does, though. Yeah. We fucking purge bots regularly. He knew I would come in. Whoa,
the champions?
follower botted.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, we'll look at this here in a minute. And so we got one more. Ooh.
I like how often Hassan watches Asmongold. I think he's a genuine fan at this point.
He does this every
He's being
time.
follow botted.
He knows he's getting
sure.
botted.
He is. He's being follow botted. This is undeniable.
Yes. I have a lot of fucking Nazi
the
freaks
phrase?
that try to hate
The
raid.
lady
That's
doth
why we have a
protest too much?
slow stream and a follow restriction. We purge them every
Talking a whole lot
day.
of shit.
That clip is particularly hilarious because he literally found his way into Asmongold's chat just to cause trouble and then got exposed as being a view botter. He thought he got away with it. He thought, aha, see, Asmongold has no proof. And then Asmongold pulled up the proof that something is very unnatural. And that's something that Asmongold has never denied for himself. A lot of the big streamers are being botted. And he doesn't even say that, oh, this is Hassan's fault. No, he's saying that there's outside sources botting people like Hassan, and I think that is a very real thing, and it's not something you can directly pin on Hassan unless you have some real evidence, but there is something unnatural. But whenever this is brought up, whenever view count is brought up, Hassan gets distraught. Okay, he is obsessed with numbers. Do not be fooled. That is the most important currency in his entire life. Numbers, view counts. That matters more than anything else. And just back in January, when he saw that his numbers were getting crushed by Asmongold, despite Asmongold dual streaming and splitting up his audience onto Kick and Twitch, Hassan says when Twitch purges bots, Asmongold lost half of his viewership in 2 days, referring to a bot purge back in August. And of course, Asmongold provides the actual facts that verifiably prove Hassan wrong. And then Hassan continues with the cope saying, I like that your info shows your view botting. You admit to it, but was wrong on the percentage of bots purged. Glad you're finally out of the 43% active viewership gutters you're in, though. Your time as a right-wing outrage farmer is coming to a close soon, though. Whoa. Midterm pivot.
Soon.
It's like he literally, he saw this image and something completely different showed up in his eyes, in his mind. But Asmongold would ratio him with a picture of a seal, which I think was just really the best response. But Hassan eventually would get a taste of his own medicine recently. In case you don't remember this, he got botted to the point of reaching over 340,000 live viewers. And this was his response to getting botted.
Asmongold chatters. Now Asmongold chatters can fucking cry and be like, well, I guess Hassan is the smarter person.
True.
Clearly, because he's view mogging Asmongold. That's how it works, right?
Rebound and recover with the Planet
I like how everything that Hassan uses as a rebuttal or a counter argument is all about like perception and status. Like, well, what? Now we gotta admit that Hassan is the smartest and most intellectual, superior organism. Like, is anyone actually arguing for who's smarter?
Asmongold.
Like, legitimately.
That's how it works, right? That's how it works, right, chatters? You know, the bigger the number, the better the person. The bigger the number, the more accurate their commentary. That's how it works, right? So how strange that I brought up the very obvious, malicious, flagrant botting going on only to get botted myself. We'll find out who's doing the botting. We'll find out who's doing the botting when they start chirping about it on Twitter. Like if it's like DGG and Dan Stalkman and all those guys who are like, Hassan is clearly botting, blah, 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 blah. Then we'll know who's responsible for it. Why did these people think you have the power to win or lose elections? Because I'm at 300K right now, so.
Oh, but of course, when Asmongold is being accused of botting and provides evidence to disprove a lot of Hassan's claims, he's crazy, he's coping, whatever. But then, when Hassan is getting botted, he thinks there's something nefarious going on, and that it's actually probably Asmongold's fault, and that Asmongold is just trying to cope with the fact that his numbers are lower than Hassan, when in reality, he is absolutely destroying Hassan in pretty much every metric imaginable, which really wouldn't be a talking point unless Hassan just would stop bringing it up. He brings it up every 2 seconds, but this whole thing is an absolute joke. Casey Tron is grasping at straws. She has nothing to actually bring to the table to dispute any of the quote-unquote extreme takes that Asmongold is making. Instead, she's resorting to guilt by association, call-out lists like this, and she is trying to financially ruin not only Asmongold, but these mythic talent content creators who have absolutely nothing to do with anything. They're just content creators doing their own thing and getting help with sponsorships and other opportunities through this agency. And now they're being called basically alt-right extremists by default, unless they leave the organization or directly speak out against Asmongold. totally ridiculous. But anyways, that's going to do for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
Alright, so what should we move on to next? How much time do I have left? I'd say I got about maybe 30-minute minimum. I've been working on the line art, kind of refining it a little bit. And I think I showed off my painting progress so far, right? The hell? Okay, I figured it out. Oh. I feel like it's coming together. Alright, so I do wanna find out a little bit more about what's going on in Iran. You know what? We're gonna go with Timothy Poole. He's got a video on apparently things getting worse in Iran. No, I'm not listening. I'm skipping this ad. All right. Forgot to add it to OBS. Where the hell? There we go.
Pray, my friends, that this is not the beginnings of World War III. And I know for some time, many people have loved to say that phrase, World War III. I mean, I myself have put it in many a title on one of my videos.
Definitely.
But what we are witnessing now in Iran may very well be something substantially greater than just an incursion, a campaign, a military strike. Most of you, of course, know the biggest news in several decades. The U.S. has launched strikes on Iran, killing its supreme leader, wiping out much of its government, but the fighting rages on. Now, of course, Iran isn't necessarily on its own the biggest threat to the United States. It, of course, does pose a threat to the U.S. in the region. They have funded attacks on U.S. troops. They have armed militia groups. And they have basically, let's just say, spread instability in the region. They are now closing the Strait of Hormuz unjustly and attacking civilian tankers trying to transport goods and oil. They have threatened the Red Sea. Certainly, Iran has been a regional problem. But the issue goes beyond this. The invasion of Venezuela. Now, Israel launching ground strikes with troops into Lebanon. It is expanding. It is much more than Iran. And the invasion, the attack on Venezuela, the capture of Maduro is 100% related to what is going on right now in Iran. The question then becomes, do the BRICS nations stand by? Will China let this happen? You know, part of me says they probably will. And this signals the United States, let's just call it empirical power, is back. The question is, will China let it happen? Because if the U.S. is successful in its operation in Iran, U.S. global dominance is reaffirmed, and this means a lot. It certainly does. The one thing I'll say is American standard of living gonna go straight up. And I know there's a lot of people who don't like the war and are mad about it, but we can talk about economics, the petrodollar, the liberal economic order, all of these plans. And we'll start here from the beginning, and then I'm going to break down exactly why we are in this war. And I will start in no unclear terms. I do not support U.S. strikes on Iran. However, I am also not a staunch anti-interventionist, libertarian, or leftist, or pro-Islamic. My attitude is largely, we have a bad track record on strikes in the Middle East in this capacity. Toppling the Iranian government may play out like the last time we did the same thing, or with any other government.
Yeah, the track record overall has been really, really bad. And right now, the only thing that we have to work off of is the capture of Maduro for how this new conflict might play out. We managed to capture Maduro without actually starting a prolonged long-term conflict. It was literally just that one operation, and that was it. But you can also argue that the South American region is very different from the Middle East. There aren't as many big players in that region who would sort of stand up to a U.S. Military intervention. And therefore the likelihood of long-term consequences is much lower. So yeah, it's still undetermined whether or not this might be a long-term issue, or if it is really just as simple as go in and do what you gotta do, get out, and things will eventually work out.
And prove to create further instability in the region. It can potentially, nay, it is likely to, in my opinion, get worse. That being said, I am not someone who thinks there is never a time for intervention. I am typically an anti-intervention, and the argument as presented, I've stated it already. Where we are now is that it appears the moves made against Venezuela have not sparked a massive detriment thus far. The moves on Iran may very well soon. But there are questions about whether or not we should not. There are questions about whether or not Iran actually was producing nuclear weapons. And I will say this. Iran's government was very bad. It will be a good thing if they are completely dismantled and new secular government, or let's just call it reasonable, stable government forms that isn't seeking to destabilize the region. That will be a very good thing. Ultimately, there are questions. Are the actions being taken by the U.S. going to produce stability or instability? Will we get an excess of collateral damage and civilian deaths? Will any of that be worth it?
Come on, China.
Absolutely perfection.
Perfection. Beautiful.
These are questions
Amazing.
that I find it very, very difficult to answer. But right now we are seeing a general split. Most people are opposed to the strikes on Iran. Of course they are. Right now we don't know what the aftermath will be. And it seems increasingly likely there will be boots on the ground. And what does that mean? It means, well, it means things are going to get more expensive. They're going to get worse for Americans. We're going to see a bunch of fake news in the media. We've already lost 6 U.S. servicemen and women's lives in this conflict. There's ultimately questions about why did it come to this? And I'm going to say it to you, my friends. I'm going to say it. I have no fear, and I will state what is true. It is moral and just to remove the government of Iran. Fact. However, morality does not mean you should. There's something called Pyrrhic victory. My point is that the Iranian government is bad. Most people recognize that. Even many of these straight up anti-war people are like, well, of course. The question is, are we just making more bad than good? If a new, even worse government comes in, what would the point have been?
Yeah.
These are questions posed by many leaders, going back several presidents. Now, many people have criticized Barack Obama for his palates full of cash and the nuclear deal. The argument made by Obama and the Democrats was, what comes after this government will be worse. And we cannot sustain a ground invasion to occupy this country. Iran is not a desert country like Iraq or Afghanistan. It is a mountainous, developed nation. They have weapons. They have estimates, 80, 90 million people? This is not going to be a simple go in and occupy a nation build. And to be honest, we didn't have success with that either. But let's start here with the news, and then I'm going to break down for you why it happened. And by all means, you can argue it should not have, and you can argue that it should have. I know people on both sides. Most Americans typically are opposed to this. So I'll stress it again. I was asked by the Wall Street Journal the other day. I was sick, but, got on the phone for a few minutes as it was. I was mostly better yesterday, but my throat was kind of fried, and so I could talk a little bit like this. Just coughing. Now that I am no longer subdued by convalescence, let me explain to all of you that I think for many people, our view of this is that we have post-intervention stress disorder. We are a generation that grew up watching the failures of Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, some might actually argue that Iraq was a success. It's just they don't want to admit what the plan was. Get rid of Saddam, regardless of the instability, build a bunch of military bases, and basically surround Iran. And Afghanistan was a failure almost entirely because of Biden's, what I would view as intentional destruction of the withdrawal set forth by Donald Trump. But we have been traumatized, as it were. We do not see success going back 50, even maybe 70 years. So why should we support more of the same when we are asking for securing our borders, protecting our country, bringing back our manufacturing base? Well, there are questions. Here's the story from the Daily Mail. Iran launches attack on largest U.S. base in the Middle East and warns Trump the gates of hell will open. The Islamic regime's army said Tuesday its forces were launching attacks on Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, which holds up to 10,000 troops and serves as a major forward headquarters for U.S. Central Command. The destructive combat drones of the enemy's ground, air, and naval forces targeted the military areas of the Zionist regime in the occupied territories and the bases of American forces at Al Udeid, Qatar, Iran said in a statement. The war has rapidly engulfed the entire Middle East, with Iran launching hundreds of drones at Israel, America's Arab allies, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, the UAE, and U.S. bases in the region. Trump hit out at reports today that the U.S. is running out of anti-drone missiles, claiming America has unlimited mid to upper tier weaponry. The president said that Iran's military and leadership is gone, adding that they are requesting to talk too late, Trump wrote on Truth Social. So the reason why the United States went into Venezuela and captured Maduro was to control oil prices before a strike on Iran. Trump has been playing not 4D chess, just regular old chess.
Yeah, I think that was pretty clear. Maduro was labeled an international criminal by Biden a couple years ago. And so, going in and getting him was justified. But there was more than that. There was like an entire subplot going on underneath where basically by going after Venezuela, you're also handicapping other nations such as China and I guess by extension, Iran. And I think it was also a way to test China's conviction for their allies. You go after Venezuela, China doesn't react. All right, well, China's not really that bullish on getting in the way of the US. So then you go after a much harsher target, the final target, which is Iran. And you have a little bit more security in knowing that China may not engage. And you also handicap China so that it makes it even less likely that they will engage.
And so it's actually quite simple. We wanted strikes on Iran. We wanted to remove the Iranian government. This is largely due to the petrodollar system and putting them in line with the liberal economic order, American hegemonic power. The problem, Venezuela controls way too much oil, I believe more than any single source on the planet. And they're selling this to the benefit of the BRICS nations even though it is our oil industry assets that were seized. I believe this is now 17 years ago. They seized our oil assets and are using that to fuel and fund our enemies. So Trump went in and said, we got to remove Maduro. That way we get access to massive amounts of energy, oil, so that when we move on Iran and they attack the Strait of Hormuz, we do not see rapid instability. The Strait of Hormuz is this small little, I believe it's about 3 miles wide stretch of water. Iran said they will blow anybody up who tries to move through it. That's 20% of the U.S. oil and gas. 20%, a ridiculous amount that Iran is threatening and has been threatening for some time. So let's talk about, my friends, the moral justifications for what we are seeing. Now, of course, for the longest time, we've been hearing that Iran is killing its own citizens. Some estimates upwards of 40,000. I'm going to tell you right away, I don't believe it. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but war propaganda is war propaganda. And at a time of war and conflict, when a government is trying to justify attacks on a foreign nation, you're going to get stories like this. I'm not saying it's completely false. I'm just saying, okay, I get it, but is Iran really going to kill 40,000 of its own people? What I would say is I've seen enough video to know that they are killing their own people. The question is, are we looking at the majority, the minority, and these are challenges we face? Understand that in these foreign countries, like in North Korea, in China, in Iran, they are showing videos of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. They are showing suppression of Black Lives Matter. And the view of many of the pro-Iranian civilians and pro-Chinese civilians is that the U.S. violently suppresses in the exact same way. That being said, we haven't killed 40,000 people. And I do believe that Iran has killed many of its people. I do. I don't know if it's 40,000, but who am I? Fog of war and all that. I'm just generally distrustful, even if it's going to be the United States. Well, that being said, Iran is striking civilian targets now. We have seen hotels get bombed. We have seen apartments get bombed. Iran seems to just be firing indiscriminately for the purpose of, we're going to shock and awe. We want, the thing about what Iran is doing, there's let me cite, to the chagrin of all the anti-Trekkies, a great Star Trek episode about the Ansata. And let me just stress this. These are written to address moral philosophies. The Federation challenges a terrorist saying, you're a coward for striking civilians. And the man responds, I am fighting the only war I can fight. This is a very important thing to understand when it comes to war. Iran was always going to attack civilians, and we know it, because they don't have the capability to actually hinder military capabilities. And so, like any desperate criminal, kidnapper or otherwise, they take hostages, and they are holding the region hostage. If you try to stop us, we bomb civilians. That's what they're saying. Now, don't get me wrong. People are saying the U.S. is also bombing civilians, Tim. Indeed, the U.S. does bomb civilians. Largely, however, the U.S.'s targets have been military targets. Civilians are collateral damage. Let's just pause for a second and criticize Barack Obama, because that's not always been the case. Barack Obama, famously, shooting up weddings. Military-age males being called combatants because they're the right age. Right. The U.S. is not completely innocent, but Iran is directly targeting civilian areas because they're hoping to create public pressure against operations against Iran. They want people in these areas to be terrified and say it's not worth it. Cost-benefit analysis. Iran's military strategy is, we will carpet bomb, I mean, they don't really have the capabilities, but we will drone strike and bomb civilians and make the cost so extreme that you might reconsider your actions. Well, this is why Donald Trump said I'm a flatten them. And to be completely honest, I just really respect the masculinity of it all. I do. I really do. Guys, again, I got to go to Star Trek because it's the best show ever made. And, well, not anymore, but I posted this earlier. And, it's funny. I think I posted it before the war started. Ignore all the sci-fi stuff, guys. Calm down. It's so silly. People are like, it's sci-fi, I don't like it. Like, take it for its elements. Two enemy warships approach. Let's just go U.S. battleship, and they say, surrender, stand down, and you are now prisoners of war. And the captain refuses and says, I would sooner die. They say, think about the men and women of your ship. And he says, they would all be willing to die for the right cause. And then he says, The question is, are you willing to die? And the enemy captain says, I expected more from you than idle threats. To which the captain of the U.S. ship says, then you shall have it. And then three allied ships approach, surrounding all of them. And then the enemy commander, upset now, realizing he is outgunned, says, you will not survive our assault. To which the captain says, and you will not survive ours. Shall we die together? It's just brilliant writing. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, I don't care. But listen, understand, I love the masculinity of it all. With all due respect to my anti-interventionist and libertarian friends who are concerned about this war and think it's the wrong thing, fret not. I would have advised against this, as well as Venezuela. I would have said, I fear instability, and I don't believe that escalating these wars is going to be the right move, but I don't, at the same time, have access to classified information. And I believe there comes a time when you're between a rock and a hard place. And the reason why I say I love the masculinity of it all, Iran has threatened us, attacked civilians, and gotten to the point where eventually you get a person like Trump saying, crush them. And Iran says to us, we will make you regret it when we attack civilians and threaten your oil supply. And Trump's response is, I'm going to kill you first. I'm sorry. You know, it's funny. I made a tweet and I was like, people are stupid. I'm sorry. People are stupid. I said, is there literally one reason why we shouldn't take over Iran or Canada for that matter, or Mexico? Pure sarcasm, because I am an intervention skeptic. I lean away from it. I would advise against it, but I am not this staunch. Never. I understand war happens. And sometimes a guy is holding a hostage with a gun to their head and people would say, don't get involved. And I'm like, look, man, I don't know if it's always that easy. I have to be honest. It's a trolley problem thing where I'm like, for the most part, it's like, we shouldn't get involved. Let me put it like this. A trolley is heading to run over 5 people. And there's a lever that can be pulled that's going to divert it to one other person. And there's a bunch of angry people standing around screaming at each other, threatening war. This is the point where I'm like, guys, let's not walk up in there and pull that lever. Let's not do it. At a certain point, however, you are looking at whether it's going to actually start. Let me put it like this. At a certain point, those people standing around the trolley are beating up our people and threatening them. And we're like, at some point, perhaps the weight becomes, you do have to get involved. I am not suggesting this was appropriate. I'm saying sometimes it can be. So again, I take the somewhat skeptic approach to this. I think most Americans do. We don't want this to happen. We don't want an escalation of war. But I think it's silly to be 100% opposed or 100% against. I do think it's fair to be lightly favorable with arguments, or to, I think it's fair if you're like, no, I'm for it and here's why. I understand. And I think it's fine if you said, I oppose this, but I understand. I think any reasonable person is going to recognize it's not always easy. Again, though, I have to stress, if you guys have been watching what Iran has been doing, I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are going to be upset and they don't want to hear it. The moral thing to do is remove the Iranian government. It doesn't mean it's effective, practical, reasonable, or otherwise. Moral means these are bad people doing bad things, and they have caused such problems for so many people, they need to be removed. That doesn't mean it's the right thing to do, because the collateral damage may be too great. Instability may be worse. My point is, at a certain point, you look at the bad people and say, you gotta go. You gotta go. But like with any hostage situation, if there is a man with bombs strapped to his chest and his finger on a weight sensor trigger, and if you were to shoot him, he blows up, killing everyone around him. My point is, maybe you don't do it. These are challenges that I don't have the answers for. What I can only tell you is this. Iran says it will attack any ship trying to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. This is, guys, look at this. You've got Bahrain, you've got Kuwait, you've got the Emirates, you've got Qatar, you've got even Oman. You've got oil being produced in the Persian Gulf. These are U.S. allies, but regardless, they are countries that have a right to sell their goods as they see fit, and it is 20% of the energy. Iran has been threatening the region, and it's been absolutely ridiculous. They have funded militia groups that have bombed U.S. soldiers and civilians in the region. They have armed Houthi rebels in Yemen who have attacked civilian trade ships in the Red Sea. This is why Trump said, I'm going to kill you first. So my fear ultimately is this. Do we need or want a World War III? No. And that's why I'm a skeptic on all of it. I know, guys, I'm not going to sit here and people are going to be like, oh, Tim's a fence sitter. No, I'm trying to be reasonable, okay? I try to be reasonable. Do we, as the American people, tolerate their strikes on our allies and on our contractors, civilians, expats, or otherwise? Our troops in the Middle East largely shouldn't have been there. But does that mean we tolerate Iran funding the militias that strike against them? I do not want to be involved in whatever Israel is trying to be involved in. Israel's wars are Israel's wars, and if they want to go fight with Iran, that's their own business, and we shouldn't be involved. So, should this blow back on us, I will say this is my greatest fear. That being said, I think actually, to be fair, my greatest fear is this is how we get World War III. The U.S. Look, guys, there's only two outcomes here. Israel, we are going to get complete instability in the region, a power vacuum, potentially other countries come in. I mean, this is going to be crazy. It's going to be chaos. Iran is not a desert nation. It is armed, developed, it is large and powerful. We are either going to get complete instability or U.S. boots on the ground and occupation. The question then becomes, reports are that the U.S. is pulling some of its forces from the Pacific theater to the Gulf to bombard Iran, with Trump saying this is only just the beginning. Is China going to make a move on Taiwan? Do we lose our assets in these regions? Reports are that forces are being pulled from South Korea. I'm deeply, deeply worried. I wish I had better answers for you. I'm not going to be an ideologue. I'm not going to be a vanilla pudding blanket. We should not be engaged in these foreign excursions. We have proven ourselves incapable. Trump is a different beast, and I put myself 60-40. I'm not going to come out and just say it's always wrong, because I just don't know. I don't know what will happen. Venezuela seemed to have played out decently. I have to admit. It seems to have remained stable. The current government is cooperating with the U.S., and I have to stress, guys, I'm not playing these stupid leftist games. Maduro was the successor to Chavez, and Chavez stole U.S. oil assets. We had a treaty. We had agreements with Venezuela. It was fair. Let us produce the oil. You will benefit. And the socialist government came in and stole billions of dollars of U.S. oil assets, and we did nothing. That is intolerable, especially in our backyard. Guys, I'm not playing stupid games, okay? They want to say U.S. shouldn't invade foreign countries. Well, they shouldn't have stolen from us, okay? If I agree to build a deck at your house, I say, listen, I'm going to spend a bunch of money and I'm going to build a nice deck on the back of your house, but you got to let me come hang out on the weekends, okay? Because it's my money, it's my deck, and so we're going to do this together. Or a better way to put it is, hey, you got this big plot of land, let's enter a contract.
That's not a very good analogy there. I got a little messy.
You got to let me come hang out on the weekends, okay? Because it's my money, it's my deck, and so we're going to do this together. Or a better way to put it is, hey, you got this big plot of land, let's enter a contract. I'm going to build a bar, and you're going to get kicked out on the profits, but we're going to run the bar, we're going to make money off it. And they say, yeah, that sounds like a good deal. And then one day they show up with guns and kick me out. Intolerable. So for Trump to go in and get back our assets, I say I am skeptical because I fear power vacuums, especially with narco gangs and cartels, unless we're going to go and occupy that country. But so far, it seemed to have worked out. We have recovered our oil assets to a certain degree, and they are ours. It was our country's. And as for Iran, I do not see it as being moral to shut down the strait, to use threats of violence and terror against civilian populations to get their way. There is no easy answer. I know the neocons are all dancing and celebrating because they want to go in and shut down Iran. I understand these arguments.
Those guys are just having a good time no matter what the conflict is, right? They don't care about the why or the where. They just want to see things blow up. I'm not the kind of guy, my friends, let me put it like this. If I'm hanging out at a bar, right, and there's some guy smack talking and pushing people around,
The question is, should you get up and go put yourself in that fight? For the most part, I'm more so I'm not going to get involved in whatever these guys are fighting about. You mind your own business, you shut your mouth, okay? You be the guy who says, listen, you guys got beef, I'm not going to intervene, I don't know. Sometimes when you do that, you get on the wrong side of things. But sometimes it's true, you got to be the guy to stand up and say, hey, buddy, knock it off. The question is, can we handle the blowback? Is that guy at the bar going to call up his buddies and a gang's going to show up and then all of a sudden there's a bar brawl? Is the bar brawl worth it? Because some blowhard guys shoving people and taking their drinks? You know, I wish the world was easy, but it's not. I hear from a lot of these staunch anti-intervention people, and I think they're largely correct. I really, really do. That's why I typically side with them. I also recognize standing back and letting the instability spread. We see the rise of China. We see Russia invading. We see all of this stuff that ultimately could lead to greater conflict. There's no easy answer. There is none. We sit back and become...
That is also true. Do we take an immediate conflict now and, you know, feel the consequences now, or do we push it back to later and then see something larger play out?
Slaves to a Chinese unipolar dominant global hegemony? I say no. But what does that mean we have to do? Man, it is not easy. It is not simple. There's a lot to break down, my friends, other than just my thoughts and opinions on what's going on in this war. Of course, we've got Israel invading Lebanon. The war is expanding, and this may lead to potentially World War III. There are rumors circulating that Iran may have actually tested a nuclear bomb. No, I'm not kidding. And we've got reports coming in. Iran explicitly stating we have the materials to build 11 nuclear weapons, and that's why Trump said, hit them hard. It's not always easy, my friends. A lot of people want to tell you it is. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you fight. I'm going to wrap this one up there. I know I don't have adequate answers for you guys because I don't have access to intelligence, classified information. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I just try to weigh everything and say we got to do our best. So the one thing I can say right now is I hope for the best. I hope Trump can handle this properly. I hope we do not see dramatic escalation, but you all better prepare for what this means. Gold and silver are going up, gas prices are going up, and this could get ugly. So we'll see. Smash the like button. Stay tuned. We got more coming up throughout the day. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you on the next segment.
Yeah, it's gonna get harder before it gets easier, that's for sure. The only question is how hard is it gonna be? How large scale is this going to be? Oh, what time do I have? I guess I could go on for a little while longer. You know what? We'll play this Asmongold video. Let's see what he's going on about. I hate these freaking mobile game ads. They're so freaking bad.
Oh yeah, I was gonna watch that. I totally forgot about this.
I'm actually gonna play this a little bit faster.
I was gonna see if there's a longer clip of this. I guess we'll go with this one. This seems like the best one. Here we go.
Some of the European nations have been helpful and some haven't, and I'm very surprised. Germany's been great. He's been terrific. Others have been very good, terrific. I think that the head of NATO, Mark, is fantastic. Mark Rutte. I think he's fantastic. But some of the European, like Spain, has been terrible. In fact, I told Scott to cut off all dealings with Spain.
Good.
First of
Fuck 'em.
all, it started when every European nation, at my request, paid 5%, which they should be doing. And everybody was enthusiastic about it, Germany, everybody. And Spain didn't do it. And now Spain actually said that we can't use their bases, and that's all right. We could use their base if we want. We could just fly in and use it.
Damn. What the hell? It don't matter what you guys tell us. You know, we could just steamroll right over you. Jeez.
All right.
Nobody's going to tell us not to use it, but we don't have to. But they were unfriendly. And so I told him we don't want to. Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people, but they don't have great leadership. And as you know, they were the only country that in NATO would not agree to go up to 5%. I don't think
What the fuck are they in NATO for then?
they wouldn't agree to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So
What the fuck?
we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
Damn. Damn, fucking finally.
And I'm not. By the
Let's see if I freaking hate you. I hate Yahoo search engine. What the hell is this? I want to find out what percentage of the US trade is what percentage of the US trade sorry, other way around. What percentage of Spain's trade is from the US? I guess we'll just keep.
By the way,
let
I'm
this
not
play.
happy with the UK either.
Yeah, true. Fuck them.
That island that you read about, the lease, okay, he made it for whatever reason, he made a lease of the island. Somebody came and took it away from him. And it's taken
Go take their shit.
3-4 days for us to work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours.
Imagine not helping your ally whenever they're trying to stop a country that's attempting to become a nuclear power and destabilize the entire world. Imagine not wanting them to use your air bases. It's insane, that type of a fucking betrayal. Meanwhile, we've got Qatar and Saudi Arabia going to bat for us. We've got Japan going to bat for us. And then you've got fucking these clowns that don't want to do anything. The fuck is this? We gotta put pressure on them. Can't let this happen. That's a betrayal.
So we are very surprised. This is
total betrayal.
Not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
All right, so typically ranking as its 5th largest supplier of imports. Seems like the US accounts for roughly 6%, if not 7% at the highest, when it comes to Spain's trade. Imports specifically. And what about exports? Exports to US? Seems like we're more like 4% of their exports. So actually, ending trade with Spain won't really affect us all that much, and it won't really affect Spain all that much, it seems.
Work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours.
Oh, no.
So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we're so dumb, bro. Sorry for my continent. They can use Romanian bases if they want to. I don't know why this is happening. Like, and I do know why. Honestly, I do. But like, this is it. And dude, no, it's wrong. The UK didn't say you can't use the air bases. The UK were just retards and gave away their own air bases. Look at the Chago stuff. It's not the UK being anti-USA. It's the UK being self-retarded. Spain is the main bad actor, right? They are. But I did really dislike the idea of the UK going out and then saying that no, we're not involved, because I think again they're just trying to maintain their radical Islamist voters that are already in the UK. That's the reason why I think they did it, and it has nothing to do with whether something is the right thing to do or not. It has to do with them trying to maintain those voters. I'll see if there's any more of these that have happened, right? Because we are waiting to see if there's anything else that's going on. I'm trying to keep up with everything, and it's hard to do so, but we're doing our best. UK is compromised. Yeah, I think that they kind of are too, and it seems kind of obvious that they are.
Freaking couple of game ads. Jeez. And they're all the same too.
And Portugal confirmed today support of the USA. Really? Well, fucking based. Spain.
Oh.
And Portugal confirmed today support of the USA. Really? Well, fucking based. Spain's government is like their Democratic Party. They're unpopular. They lost 40% of the votes, not counting this fiasco. I mean, you've got to hold those people accountable eventually, right? What is this? Trump, Iran. Let me see if I can find the different things about this. Yeah, here it is. Let's see if this is the part of him talking about it.
Coming to an end as soon as possible, but Ukraine has to preserve its territory and their security interests, and well, we will talk about that.
We will.
Looking forward to that.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you
That's
for your
interesting.
hospitality. Thank you for letting me spending the night in your guest house.
That's
It's a
right.
Very, very
good,
comfortable place.
Hope you liked it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, great place and a famous place.
That's
yeah.
good. Very
so
famous.
many former presidents.
That's
there.
right.
Yeah.
Very famous place. Any questions, please?
Mr. President, Israel forced your hand to launch these strikes against Iran. Did that not hold the United States?
This is that bullshit from earlier.
I
We
might
saw
have
this
forced
part.
their hand. You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it,
If they could, they would.
going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And
Is he referring to Iran? Because if I'm being completely honest, I don't think they would have attacked. I don't think that they have all of the necessary pieces in order to conduct an attack on the US, unless he means maybe attacking US bases in the Middle East.
negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack if we didn't do it.
Mr. President, did Israel force your hand to launch these strikes against Iran? Did that not hold the United States?
This is that bullshit from earlier.
I
We
might have
saw
forced
this
their
part.
hand. You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack if we didn't do it.
Yeah, I don't think Iran would have been able to attack. I mean, realistically, what would they have accomplished? Also, if a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people throw around this this theory that Israel is the one who forced the U.S.'s hand by stating that they would go all out if the U.S. didn't step in. Realistically, what difference does that make? Right? Like, if Israel goes ahead and has a conflict with another country, like, how exactly does that affect the U.S.? Like, why would that force the U.S.'s hand? And even if it did, what difference does it make ultimately, seeing as Iran has been a sticking point for the U.S. in the region, and it has been a destabilizer overall for everybody in that area. No matter which way you see it, does it really matter whether or not Israel pressured the U.S.? And if they did, would it even matter for the U.S.? Like, what realistically can Israel actually pull off to pressure the U.S.?
They could, they would.
And that's not me saying that it is unlikely, it is impossible. I'm just saying, do we have enough information to make that conclusion, that that theory logical or possible?
Going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people that do this very successfully and have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand. But Israel was ready and we were ready. And we've had a very, very powerful impact because virtually everything they have has been knocked out now. Their missile count is going way down. Amazingly.
It seems pretty obvious that they're gassed out if they're not shooting as many missiles at Israel. Like, there's like a tracker here that I've been keeping up with, and it looks like there's nothing here. Has declared another all clear. There it is. It's not happening. And the other missiles, we haven't even seen a single one hit.
They're hitting countries that were, let's call them neutral, right? They lived together for a long time. I think they were surprised. I was surprised. I think and now those countries are all fighting against them and fighting strongly against them. Someday they'll write a story and they'll say why they did that, but they hit countries that had nothing to do with what's going on. They were sort of leaving everything alone. All of a sudden they had missiles shot in, which shows you the level of evil that we're dealing with. They'll hit people that were actually at least somewhat friendly, and they had no problems with it. Also,
Tim Pool was talking about how going all out with Iran would be detrimental to everybody, because Iran is a developed nation, right? And it is true, they definitely are not a small player. They definitely have resources. They are a large country, but the issue is to what level are they large enough to take on both the US and Israel together? And the fact that they lashed out against other countries in the area immediately really doesn't give me it doesn't really project confidence on their end. And also the fact that they haven't been able to successfully attack Israel since doesn't really give me enough confidence that they are able to fight back. So I don't think that they'll be coming out of this victorious, that's for sure. The only question is, how long will they last? And will anybody actually step in to help them out?
So hitting only civilian places, hotels and apartment buildings, and we're hitting them where it is much more appropriate. We're hitting them very hard. And the big scale hitting goes now. They no longer have air protection. They no longer have any detection facilities at all left. And so they're gonna be in for a lot of hurt. These are bad people. These are people they killed. I guess it's 35,000. It's coming out 35,000.
Probably more
over the last 3 weeks. Protesters, 35,000 violently killed. So these are bad people. And the leader of the pack is gone. And as you know, 49 people were taken out in the first hit. And I guess there was another hit today on the new leadership. And it looks like that was pretty substantial also. So they're getting hit very hard. And we'll see what happens. A lot of people are coming forward. A lot of the people you would least suspect.
That was pretty insane. Supreme leader taken out. They immediately install a new leader. And he's out. Then they go looking for the Supreme Leader's son. So hopefully he can, take the reins, and he's gone. That was straight up insane.
Want to quit. They want to have immunity. They're asking for immunity, and probably at some point they'll be dropping, as you would say, laying down their guns. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, we're just continuing to go forward. Our military is the #1 in the world by far, and we are. Everything's big in my book. Venezuela was big. This is big. The original hit, Midnight Hammer, was big. Everything you view is big.
Yeah.
But,
Everything's big.
It's not considered very big by some standards, by some of our standards. We have a military like no other military that's ever been built.
Some say the biggest. Yeah, very big.
There's never been a bigger military.
Never been.
So we have somebody an arguer, a disagreeer. What is this here? I'll pull this person up. Follow you a long time. Were you playing WoW? Oh, a game person became someone else. You approve USA crimes against the world. So what crimes is the USA doing against the world here? I'm curious. What do you think?
Crimes against the world. Oh my gosh. All right, you know what? Let's play into that that notion, right? If it really were, even if it were actual crimes against the world, what exactly would we say about the celebrations in Iran after the defeat of the Ayatollah? What exactly do we say about the celebrations in Venezuela after the capture of Maduro? Like, clearly things are going wrong in these nations, and clearly people are asking for help.
Think we're doing that's wrong? Go ahead. No, I want to figure this out. And also, like in February, so you followed me on Valentine's Day, and last year, that's cute. And like back then, I didn't even play WoW then. Yeah, I didn't play WoW at all. So what about this is wrong? What are we doing that's wrong? Another dictator defender? Genociding terrorists? We're not even genociding them, bro. Like, we're not even killing that many of them. Like, probably could do way more. A dictator dictator. That's what he is. I like that. That's cute. Do we still have a, we don't have a single response. It looks like there's nothing, he's not saying anything. No, I don't think that we're doing a crime against the world by getting rid of a country that kills their own people systematically. And they fund other people that oppress groups of people all over the Middle East. This entire idea that America is more...
Here are the celebrations in Iran.
خداحافظ موشعلی.
The EDM. I mean, that song goes hard. And this video is by The Independent, by the way. I don't speak Farsi, so I have no idea what she said, but hopefully it's something positive. This seems to be the longest clip. Okay, the other one was Buenos Aires, Argentina. This video is by Guardian News. And the reason why these celebrations are from Chile, Argentina, and other nations is because a lot of Venezuelans were driven out from their nation due to the oppression from Maduro and his regime. Colombia.
Estoy feliz, como todos los venezolanos. Salimos de algo que nos tenía locos, huyendo del país, ahora vamos a volver a la...
And yes, I do speak Spanish, so this man is actually literally saying we will return to our country.
Camino con la familia.
Cuando uno está fuera de su país, cuando uno ha tenido que salir del país por ser perseguido político, por haber sido secuestrado, que ahora uno vea que en verdad todos esos verdugos están cayendo uno sobre otro. Eso es lo que uno dice, que wow, mi corazón llora de alegría.
And yes, this man did specifically state he was driven out of his country due to political persecution. He apparently, I don't know if it was specifically him, but it sounds like he personally was a victim of kidnapping, or at least was familiar with someone who was a victim of kidnapping. So he left Venezuela, and now they're happy that the oppression, the regime which oppressed them is no longer in power.
Stop bombing Venezuela!
Oh no, did they really put these guys in here? Oh my gosh, I forgot about these guys.
Another outrage of Trump, who doesn't give a shit about any people. His only interest is oil and greed.
The issue is, all right, well, much like the Israel, accusations, at the end of the day, whether or not the intention was, A or B, we still ended up with result C. And result C seems to be beneficial to many people, not just the US, but also the natives of the land who we helped, come back into power. like whether or not the US is greedy for helping Venezuela because it gives them oil. Does that matter? Because at the end of the day, the Venezuelan people are better off.
And corruption.
And that was that.
Plan for in Iran.
Why would they? Why do these people ask military questions?
Well, I don't know if there's a worst case. We have them very much.
Do you think they're going to say what the worst case scenario is?
Militarily, from the military standpoint, they're still lobbing some missiles. At some point, they won't even be able to do that because we're hitting all of their carriers. We're hitting all of their missile stock. You know, they built up all these missiles over the last few years. They had a lot of them. They've shot a lot of them, and we're knocking out a lot.
That's good.
I guess the worst case would be we do this, and then somebody takes over who's as bad as the previous.
Yeah, I'd
person.
say that. Yeah, about right.
We don't want that to happen. That would probably be the worst. You go through this, and then in 5 years you realize you put somebody in who was no better.
Yep.
So we'd like to see somebody in there that's going to bring it back for the people. And we'll see what happens with the people. You know, they have their chance. And we've said, don't do it yet. If you're going to go out and protest, don't do it yet. It's very dangerous out there. A lot of bombs are being dropped.
Yeah,
but
I bet.
I would say that would be about the worst.
Do you have someone in mind right now? Because you said all the people you have in mind have been taken out.
Well, most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, you know, we had some in mind from that group that is dead.
That are roaching out?
And now we have another group. They may be dead also. Based on reports.
Kidnapped their leader the same way that we did with Maduro. The issue is Venezuela. So would extracting their leader really change anything in the end? Would they retaliate with as much force regardless? It's hard to say. And well, obviously I don't know this, but I'm sure intelligence might have also been an issue. Like, did we actually have enough intelligence to carry out a similar operation in Iran compared to Venezuela?
100 million barrels of oil already, and a big part of that goes to them and a big part goes to us, and it's been great. We paid for the war many times over, and we're going to be running the oil, and Venezuela is going to make more money than they ever made, and that's great for the people. The relationship has been great. It's been seamless.
Wow.
Nobody's actually ever seen anything like
Still
it.
dying like dogs in Iran? Yeah, they squat. They getting a lot of them.
If you look
Can't
at
compare
Iraq,
Venezuela to Iran.
we're very stupidly...
Iran has religious zealotry behind it.
Yeah.
I think religious zealotry falls apart whenever you're faced with certain death. I think that's what happens. Like the idea that, oh, they're religious zealots, like you can't stop them. If you kill enough of them, they'll stop.
Yes. Yes, of course. Enough, though. And the question is, how much is enough? You know, in every system, you have people who are, you know, dedicated to the very end, to the system, and those who are only in it because it is beneficial to them. So no matter what, like if you target enough people within the system, you will weed out the people who are only in it for their own benefit. And all that you'll have left are those who are deadly serious about their commitment. But the question is, how deadly serious is their religious zealotry?
They always do.
Everybody was fired. The generals...
And you see them, like, again, no, it doesn't. Okay, all right, you're going to see this happen. You're already seeing IRGC defecting over. Again, a lot of people like the idea of being a martyr. They like the fantasy of being a martyr. But then whenever they see everybody else being killed around them and they see them, like, their body just evaporated, they're probably going to think about it differently. And if you don't believe me about this, give it a few days and you'll see this happen.
Were fired. The military was fired. The police were fired. The fire departments were fired.
Just wait.
And
Japan, World War II. Yep, there it is.
All of the government workers were fired. So after, you know, people would call, they had no idea.
Isn't that how
By the
mortality
way,
works?
ISIS
It does.
was formed. That's where ISIS came from. All of the fired people. We don't believe in that. So we'll see what
Taliban's still
happens.
tactical 20 years later. It's different Taliban.
First, we have to finish off the military.
Oh yeah, this is the crown. Yeah, like the exiled, the son of the Shah.
See, some people like him, and we haven't been thinking about too much about that. It would seem to me that somebody from within maybe would be more appropriate. I've said that. He looks like a very nice person.
So they might actually have
but
him come in.
It would seem to me that somebody that's there, that's currently popular, if there's such a person.
Yeah.
But we have people like that. We have people that were more moderate. You know, these were radical lunatics, and you know what they get? They get nothing. All they do is
Yeah,
kill.
they can keep killing hardliners until a more friendly person gets in power. Absolutely, 100%. That should absolutely 100% be the strategy. You keep killing them until you get a person in there that you will do business with. They say, all right, are you going to work with us and surrender? No? All right, you're dead. Then do it again. And you do this over and over, and you roll the dice enough times, and you're going to get one of them that will surrender. I guarantee it. They will stop respawning.
People.
That's how it works.
You've asked,
Yep.
not your turn. Not your turn, please.
Well, what absolute retard tag? I'm telling you, just wait and see. Just wait and see.
President, have you been to think that he called the Europeans who pretend to be healthy?
Horrific take. Live by the sword. Oh, this is. You know what? You come in and you. I'm not even gonna read your message. Yeah. Who cares?
What does that mean?
Let's see the logic in Afghanistan. You can't compare Afghanistan to Iran because there was a different president then, and we didn't do what we needed to do. Like, they didn't go in and blow up the entire military on the first day. Like, it's very obvious that with enough military force and enough willpower, you can do this. I think that Bush and all of the military back then did not have the willpower or the intention to do this. Now we do. That's the difference.
Well,
You'll
some
see
of
it
the
happen.
European nations have been
Using the
helpful.
wrong tactics. Yeah, exactly. The only tactic that works with people that are zealots is just complete obliteration. You don't try to negotiate with them. You don't try to explain things to them. You say, listen, bitch, this is how it's going to be. And if they don't follow the rules, then you kill them. That's literally it. Any other strategy with a religious zealot doesn't work. And even this strategy isn't always effective, like you guys are saying. But eventually it will be.
Some haven't. And I'm very surprised. Germany's been great. He's been terrific. Others have been
100%
very
facts.
good.
Yep, you'll see.
I think that the
You'll
head
see.
of NATO, Mark, is fantastic. Okay? Mark Rutte. I think he's fantastic. But some
Beat
of
him in
the
the
European,
submission.
like Spain, has
Exactly.
been terrible. In fact, I told Scott to cut off all dealings with Spain. Spain, first of all, it started when
Don't
every
negotiate with
European
terrorism. Yep.
nation. At my
Isn't that how paganism died out? Partly,
West
yeah.
made 5%, which they should be doing. And everybody was enthusiastic about it. Germany, everybody. And Spain didn't do it. And now Spain actually said that we can't use their bases. And that's all right. We don't. We could use them.
Reports coming out that weapons have been smuggled to Kurds in Iran. Is that it?
Basically,
We'll
we
see.
could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it. But we don't have to. But
He's
they were
orange. He is.
unfriendly. And so I told him we don't want to. Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people, but they don't have great leadership. And as you know, they were the only country that in NATO would not agree to go up to 5%. I
No
don't think
surprise.
they would agree to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
Fuck them.
And I'm not. By the way, I'm not happy with the UK either. That island that you read about, the lease. Okay, he made it for whatever reason. He made a lease of the island. Somebody came and took it away from him, and it's taken 3-4 days for us to work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra
Yeah.
hours.
Total waste of our time. Like, the fact that our allies aren't letting us use their airspace for us to fight Iran is ridiculous.
So we are very
Crazy.
surprised. This is
Crazy
not
that's
Winston
going on.
Churchill that we're dealing with.
No, it's not. He's such a bitch, man. Keir Starmer. Oh my god. The island? Yeah, why not move the tanks and military equipment over to the border?
He definitely doesn't look very reliable. He does not instill confidence in any way. The way he speaks, his mannerisms. Like, you can say whatever you'd like about his efficiency as a politician, his efficacy, but he just does not instill confidence.
Order and let John Wayne his ass through the country? There's no reason to. And number one, number two, the geography of Iran makes that almost impossible. And number three, there's no reason to do that. Like, with the technology and the science that we have now in terms of ballistics and then drones and then smart missiles and satellites and everything, there's no real reason for you to go and send a bunch of people on the ground to solve a problem like that. There's no reason for that at all.
What expectations for Germany? What can Germany do and what should Germany do to help in this moment?
Yep.
Well, I think they're doing it. I mean, they're letting us land in certain areas, and that's, we appreciate it. And they're just making it comfortable. We're not asking them to put boots on the ground or anything. I mean, we're just they're a respected country. I have a very good
Shove
relationship
people into space,
with
tracking
the
people?
country,
Yeah, exactly.
in particular now.
But as hands off as possible?
Leader,
Yeah.
this new leader, I think he's an excellent leader. I had my differences with Angela. I said, you're
Oh,
hurting
yeah, I
your
remember her.
country with
Angela Merkel.
immigration, and you're hurting your country with energy. And we have a man sitting on my right that is, I think, pretty much the opposite of her on energy and the opposite on immigration. And I think he's doing very well.
Noise is well. I'll turn it down.
Commercial air travel right now is severely
Yeah.
restricted in the Middle East, and thousands of Americans are stranded. Why wasn't there an evacuation plan, and will you send planes to get people out?
Well, because it happened all very quickly. We thought.
What I think probably happened is that they had a let me actually get this turned down a little bit more so it's not as loud. So they probably had a plan going on, and then eventually kind of the stars aligned, all of those guys got together, and then they executed on that plan like instantly. That's what I'm assuming probably happened. Now I could be wrong, but that's kind of where I would expect things are.
Was that it?
You can win anytime, anywhere. Buy official scratch tickets online and enjoy the ride.
Yep, that was it. All right. How are we on time? Ooh. It's just about time for me to go. So, I think we'll leave it at that. I'm just gonna finish a few details. That's my timer going off, and we're out of time. I think we'll leave it here. It's looking good enough. Ooh, what did I do? There we go. One thing I will do though, before I go, is I think I'm going to add some eye color. Open up my reference from the last art piece that I made. New layer. I'm gonna go with something kind of blue greeny, a little bit more on like the cyan side. I think it's good enough. But I'm gonna have to change my brush. How do I go back? Oh, there it is. All brushes, and we'll just do. I'll actually do this one. Come on, guy. No! Really? Just accidentally opened Procreate. There it is. We got him. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go a little bit darker. I'm gonna go more on this side. I think that's good enough. We'll go with that. And then we're going to add some of that cyan. Yep, that's good enough. For now, that is. Now, do I want to keep that at normal, or do I want to change the line art to overlay? I think I'm going to do something like an in-between. Probably add 2 layers of line art. For now, I'll keep it normal. And that's it. That's what we got. And I gotta go do some errands. See you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in, and good night.